now we'll look more into the depth of the dashboard view. So like I said before, the dashboard view is going to be that default view that appears when you first log into Mirth. So in the dashboard view, you're going to see all your deployed channels. So you can see all our deployed channels here. Since the last time we were together, I added a few more channels just so we could look at the dashboard view a little bit better. So I added our second channel, test channel 1, test channel 2, as well as these channel groups. Now a channel group is just going to be a group of channels. And I just labeled them new group 1 and new group 2. So before we get started, over here to the top right of the dashboard table, we can see the different columns that are enabled. So if you want, we can disable status and we can enable it again. So we have them all enabled. So this is going to be the dashboard table view. This is going to hold all of our deployed channels. So let's go through some of these columns. So to start, there's a status column. So the status is going to show you what the channel is at. So what status it's going to be at. So this could include started, starting, paused, pausing, stopping, stopped, deploying, or undeploying. And it's all going to depend on what your channel's going to do. So what you want your channel to do. For instance, if I want to pause or stop the channel, I can click stop. It's going to be stopped. Let's go ahead and start it back up. Next column we have is the name. So this is going to be the name of the channel group. It's also going to be the name of the channel. And also in each one of these channels, you can expand the plus button next to the channel name, and you can see your source and your destination. So it's going to show those as well. If we had multiple destinations, it's going to show all of those destinations. Next we have the revision column. So this revision column is going to show us the amount of revisions since we have last deployed our channel. If there's more than 0, then this is going to be highlighted. Now next to revisions, we have the last deployed. So this is going to be the date that we've last deployed a channel. Now this last deployed column is going to be highlighted if the channel's been deployed in less than 2 minutes. So if I go back to channels and I go to our second channel and I deploy it, now it's going to be highlighted. Now next to last deployed, we have the amount of messages and the statistics for these messages. So we have received, we have filtered, queued, sent, and errored. So the received column is going to be that amount of messages that the source connector has received. And the filtered column is going to be the amount of messages that were either filtered in the source or in the destination. Next we got the queued. So this is going to be the amount of queued messages we have. So for example, if our channel is stopped, then we might have a few queued messages in here. Now if the queued amount is more than 0, then it's going to be highlighted. Next we have the sent. So this is going to be the number of messages that have been sent by our destination connectors. And then next to sent we have errored. And errored is going to be the number of messages errored at any point in the channel. So this will be in the source or the destinations. It will be highlighted red if there are any messages that have errored. Next we have the connection. So the connection is going to be the current process of the channel. So you'll see idle, reading, polling, sending, and connected. So idle is just going to be where the source connector isn't processing a receiving message. That's going to be the default of the connection for the channel. We also have reading, and reading is going to be the source connector is generating messages to send to the channel. So for example, this might be a JavaScript reader creating messages for the channel from a database. Next, we might have polling. So it might be polling for messages to receive. Also sending. So sending is going to be the destination is currently sending a message outward. And the last one we have is connected. So the source connector might be connected to multiple clients. So this is where it's actively reading back and forth between the client. Now, if the connection status is red, then this means it can't connect to any more clients. So that means you've connected to the maximum amount of clients that you can. It will still stay connected to the clients that it already has, but it just won't take on any more. So down at the bottom, we have filtered. So this text box is going to allow us to filter any messages that we want to see. So for example, if we just want to see test channel 2 in the dashboard table, we can type in test channel 2 and click enter, and only test channel 2 is going to appear. In order to get out of that, there's this X. We can click X. Also, if you want to search for text in the channel name, we can also do that. So if we want to search for channel, click enter. It'll show all the ones with channel in its name. However, all of our channels currently have channel in its name. So let's use a better example. Let's just use hour. However, I got all the channels with year in it. Now, by default, if we type in hour, it's going to appear with 2 channels here. And if I click enter, it's going to select the first channel. So I click enter, it's going to pop up our first channel. But what if I want to look at all the channels that start with hour? Well, let's go ahead and just enter in hour. And then in order to just get hour, you need to escape. So you can press the escape key and then press enter. And that's going to get all the channels that start with hour. Now another way to clear this is we can press this red X. So that'll clear all of our filters. Now next to the filters input box, we have some numbers and some groups and also the deployed channels. So this is going to be the amount of groups that are currently in your dashboard table. Next to that, we also have how many deployed channels are in our dashboard table. So if we go back here and we select our first channel, you can see that it's updated. So it's currently showing 1 of 3 groups. So it's showing the default group. And it filtered 2 channel groups. Also, it's showing 1 of 4 deployed channels, our first channel. It filtered 3 channels. And this is the text that we entered into the filtered input. Let's go ahead and clear that out. Now over to the right, we will skip over these for now. But over to the far right, we can see these 2 buttons, groups and channels. So by default, it's going to list your channels with their groups. However, if we want to just see all of our channels in a list, we can click the channels button. So that's going to list all of our channels. So let's go back. So down below the dashboard table, we can see some more tabs. So this is going to be first our server log. So this is going to be any log in the server is going to appear here. So you might see multiple entries. I'm going to go ahead and create some logs. Okay, I'm back. Now I just created some logs that are going to be in our log file. Now each of the logs are going to be displayed in this log server log. Now each of these logs are going to be in a file in our configuration folders. And we can view them there. But we also can view them here. So you can see it has at the timestamp of the log, it's going to have the type of log, where it was generated, and the log. So if this log was too long for us to see all of it throughout this whole screen, you can also double click and view the entire message. And here you can also highlight and copy. So I just did Control C. So I copied the message. So I close it. You can also pause the server logs. So if there is any logs that were generated just now, it wouldn't appear in our server log. This is especially helpful when you're trying to track down a log, or if you're trying to view multiple logs at once. So I'm going to start it again. And next to the pause and resume log button, we have the clear display log. So if we want to get rid of all these logs, we can. You can clear it that way. However, let's go over to the right side. So we have the log size. So the default is 50. So this is going to be the amount of logs that we want to see in our log view. So now if we say 2 and press the check mark, it'll only show the last 2 logs. We'll switch it back to 50. Now let's clear out these logs. So the next tab we have is a connection log. So this is going to show all of what's happened with our messages in our channels. So for example, you can see where we've had a message be sent through. Now the server logs, they are saved to a file, but the connection log is only saved in memory. So once these are deleted, you can't get them back. And you can see the timestamp, the channel, the connector info, the event, and any info about the connection log. Next we have the global maps. I won't go too much into the global maps just yet. We'll go over that in a separate lesson. But this is going to show us all the global map variables for a channel. So you can select a channel and go to global maps and see what map variables are here. So now, if we go back up to our dashboard table, and over to the left, you can see some dashboard tasks. So the first item is the refresh. So if we were expecting the received message count to go up, then we can refresh the dashboard table just to make sure. So next we have the send message. So this is going to send the message that we currently have highlighted. So let's go and click on our first channel and click send message. So like before, let's send hello world. We can go down here and process our message. We can hit refresh. And now we can see that we just added another message. So let's go back to the send message. There's also a few other options we can get. So we can also open a text file. So this will allow us to go into our local directory and select any text file we want, and it will import it into the message pop-up. So you can see that I have multiple text messages. Also, we could open up a binary file. So this is just going to open up an encoded string and display it as base64. So we can click close. Next we have view messages. So view messages is going to view the messages that a channel is currently selected on. So this is going to be the same as double clicking on our channel, or we can also just click on view messages. So this is going to take us to the message viewer for the channel. Here we can see all the messages. But let's go back. Now we also have remove all messages. So this is going to remove all the messages for your currently selected channel. So let's click on remove all messages, and it pops up with a pop-up. It's making sure that we want to remove all of our messages and even the queued messages. Now there is a checkbox right here that says include selected channels that are not stopped. So it wants you to stop your channel first before you clear out your messages. However, our channel we currently have selected is started. So we'll want to go ahead and check mark this, and we'll press yes, and it'll pop up with a clarification message that it wants us to type in remove all in order to make sure we want to remove all the messages. Click OK. Now you can see it's going to clear out all of our messages. And if we go in to view the messages, it removed all the messages. So we can't see any of our messages. Let's go back to dashboard. Let's go ahead and send another message. So now under remove all messages, there's clear statistics. So this is going to be the statistics we have for these received, filtered, queued, sent, and errored. So if we just want to remove the statistics, but we don't want to remove the actual message, then we click on clear statistics, and you can check mark which statistic you want to remove or you want to clear. Now we can click all of these, or we could have inverted our selection. Click OK. And you see it cleared out our amounts, but if we go in to see the messages, they're still there. Go back to dashboard. Now in the dashboard table, we can also pause, start, and stop messages. So the started status, it allows the channel to process messages as well as the connector and read for any new incoming messages. And the stop doesn't allow the channel to process messages or read for any new messages. So let's stop our first channel. So you can see that it's stopped. And you can see that we don't have pause or start anymore. So you need to start a channel in order to pause it. So let's start this channel back up, and let's click pause. And what pause does is it allows the channel to process only the queued messages but not read for any new messages. So it basically halts the source connector from polling or reading for any new messages. So if we had a queued amount here, it would only process through all those queued messages but not receive any more. You might also see the status. You can see how the default group has a status of mixed. So that's because we have a started and a paused channel. You can see new group 2, it only has a started channel, so it's going to display as started. So now moving down, we can also undeploy a channel. So this is going to get rid of our channel from the dashboard list. So let's undeploy. There you go. Now it's gone. And you can see down here, we only have 3 deployed channels.